Welcome, everyone. We're thrilled to have you join us for our information session this evening. We'll focus on sharing valuable information and answer your questions that you might have as a massage therapist or student about the application to regulate massage health professions submitted to the Alberta government on October 15th. So the working group was established in July 2021 and has 3 representatives from 4 massage associations in Alberta. So I'll begin by introducing the working group members who are here this evening. So we have Michelle Bullock, she's a massage therapist and CRMTA representative.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Michelle. Paul Donovan, NHPC representative.
Good afternoon.
Jason Dvorak, massage therapist representing MTAA.
Hi, everybody.
We have Heather Goddard, CMOTA representative.
Hey, everyone.
We have Tendai Zuma from the NHPC. She's an NHPC representative.
Good evening, everyone.
Adam Salzman, he's a massage therapist and CRMTA representative.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming.
And Jeremy Sayer, massage therapist representing CMOTA.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming.
And away with regrets is Gisela Callender. She's a massage therapist representing CMOTA. Janine Godsky, massage therapist representing MTAA. Melanie Hayden, massage therapist representing NHPC. Gina Hendrickson, MTAA representative. And Maria Pavkovich, representing CRMTA. And my name is Christy Causer. I'm a massage therapist of 27 years and president of the Transitional Council of College and Massage Therapists of Alberta. I'm recognized as the lead communicator by the Alberta government and facilitator for the Alberta Massage Associations. The pursuit of regulation in Alberta has been massage therapist driven. The massage therapists on the working group are volunteers. On October 15th, the working group submitted an updated application to regulate massage therapists in Alberta. The application is simply a foundational work, a first step to provide the framework to set up the future regulatory college. It is a high-level overview, which means there are many details that we may not be able to provide answers for at this time. So the working group provided a PDF link on the application submitted to the government in our October 18th communication from the Massage Therapists Associations and the Transitional Council Facebook page for your reference. On October 18th, the working group provided you a YouTube link with a video that outlines the regulation process and the submitted application. It contains valuable information, and we hope you had an opportunity to view it. The format of today's information session will be making short presentations, then answering some questions relating to the specific topic presented, and then continuing with presentations and questions until 8 p.m. this evening. Feel free to click on the Q&A section located at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions anytime throughout today's online session. We will start with the history of regulation in Alberta, what is a regulatory college, and the regulatory process. Then we're going to proceed to the application topics as follows. Jason will be presenting grandparenting and continuing competency. Adam will be presenting modalities and scope of practice, and Jeremy will be presenting the budget. So I'll begin with what is a regulatory college. A regulatory college is not a post-secondary institution. It is a separate legal entity responsible for ensuring public safety by regulating a health profession. This is a separate organization from a massage association. The regulatory college provides public protection while ensuring safe, competent, quality healthcare services, while a massage association provides member support and services. The regulatory college does not set a fee schedule that is not authorized by the Health Professions Act. In Alberta, the health professions are regulated under one piece of legislation called the Health Professions Act. This legislation or law gives the regulatory colleges their authority and framework how a college operates. Health legislation differs from province to province. Regulatory colleges are governed by a board of directors called a council. Each council has 50% of members from their profession and 50% public members that are appointed by the government. Members from the profession are elected by registrants of the college. The role of the regulatory college is to ensure healthcare professionals are properly educated by having oversight of education programs through accreditation to ensure the minimum standards of practice competency and ethical conduct to support safe provision of massage therapy for all Albertans. Only those who are a registrant of a regulatory college would be allowed to use protected titles such as RMT, Registered Massage Therapist, so the public can identify who the massage therapist health professionals are. This is all part of the function that the regulatory college must provide to ensure public protection and consistency nationally to ensure labor mobility agreements are met in order to permit a massage therapist transfer eligibility to other regulated provinces. Regulation increases public confidence, professionalism with other health professionals, and elevates our profession. To be able to self-regulate our profession instead of the government, it is a privilege and not a right. We have the expertise to set education standards, practice standards, and conduct standards to licensed massage therapist health professionals. The privilege of self-regulation and self-governing comes with a responsibility to self-fund the regulatory college. So how did we get here? So here's going to be a regulation history in a nutshell. Alberta has been working towards regulation and regulating the massage profession since 1992. The Transitional Council of College and Massage Therapists of Alberta was established after a recommendation from the Health Profession Advisory Board decision in 2008. In 2016, the massage associations conducted a joint regulation information sessions to massage therapists. A third-party expert developed and conducted an Alberta Joint Massage Association survey in 2016. The result was the vast majority of massage therapists supported regulating massage therapy as a health profession under the Health Professions Act, which established a unified mandate for the profession. An application to regulate the profession of massage therapy was accepted in principle in 2016 by the government of the day. When the government changed in 2019, the process to get back on the government's radar to regulate massage therapy started all over again. The Transitional Council had a meeting with former health minister in March 2021, who did a preliminary review of the revised 2020 joint application submitted by all 4 massage associations and the Transitional Council. The former health minister provided a letter of direction with a list of additional details and revisions required before the application could be submitted for consideration. The former Minister of Health requested that the TC-CMTA, NHPC, MTAA, and CMTA work together to submit an updated application for consideration. So in July 2021, the 4 massage associations and the TC successfully formed the Alberta Working Group for the regulation of massage therapy to demonstrate unity and complete the tasks required to move regulation forward in Alberta. As president of the TC, I act as a facilitator and lead communicator and remain the main point of contact for the working group with government and stakeholders. I'd like to point out that having all the massage associations working together is a milestone achievement. All activities regarding regulation are completed through consensus decision-making. This means that every representative has to agree on every decision or it does not proceed. The working group has been working closely with the Director of Health Professions on the tasks requested by the former Minister of Health. Research was carried out and experts were consulted with other regulatory colleges across Canada, other regulated health professionals, and stakeholders like the insurance industry. Once all the tasks were completed, the working group conducted an engagement process with all the Alberta Massage Association's Board of Directors to review the updated application for the purposes of endorsing the contents of the revised application with letters of support. The working group also communicates with the 5th Massage Association, the ARMTA, the Alberta Regional Massage Therapy Association, who was also included in the application review process, who have also given their support in writing for regulation and the updated application. In our application, we are seeking to regulate massage therapists as health professionals under the Health Professions Act for the purpose of treating medical conditions, so therapeutic massage, which does include utilizing relaxation massage techniques and aspects of other modalities, without restricting the practice of massage within Alberta. It is the massage therapist that's being regulated and recognized as a health professional by the Alberta government and the public. So to clarify, the unrestricted practice of massage includes individuals or practitioners who provide relaxation massage services, culturally specific massage such as shiatsu or Thai massage, who choose not to register with the Regulatory College of Massage in Alberta, as long as they are not using protected titles and are not offering massage services for the purpose of treating medical conditions. So now that our application's been submitted, what happens next in the regulation process? Right now, the Minister of Health would review our application, and they may seek further information through consultations with us or other relevant stakeholders. The Minister of Health would have to make a recommendation to the legislature for all the MLAs in Alberta to vote whether or not to include massage therapists in the Health Professions Act. If approved by the MLAs, the Transitional Society will work with the government to write the legislation. This would include the standards of practice and code of ethics for all massage therapists who are registrants of the Regulatory College. There will be one standard across the province. Once completed, then there are additional legal activities that must take place. Finally, the government will make a proclamation, and on that day, the Regulatory College officially begins operations. So the government is in charge of this timeline, not the working group, so it is difficult to provide you with specific answers. The government's timeline is determined by their priorities. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Jason to present the grandparenting section, and then we'll address questions about the topics that we've presented thus far.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Dvorak. I represent the MTAA on the working group and would like to introduce you to the grandparenting portion of our regulation application. I graduated from West Coast College of Massage Therapy in New Westminster in 2006. I worked in a regulated province for 7 years before moving to Alberta in 2013 and started my own practice in Lethbridge, Alberta. I understand that some of you are new to the concept of regulation and appreciate that you are here today to learn more. And even for those of us who have more than a few years in practice, like 10 or 20 or even 30 more years, that we may be all learning new things as well. So thank you all again for being here. Something that is top of mind for all practitioners as we move towards regulation is, how will I get into the Regulatory College as a currently practicing therapist? So let's start by answering the question, what is a grandparenting policy? A grandparenting policy is a provision in which an old rule continues to apply to some existing situations, while a new rule will apply to all future cases. Grandparenting is a limited provision under certain circumstances and will only exist for a set period of time. This allows new regulatory rules to be enacted without upsetting the current practicing massage therapist's ability to make a living and treat their clients with minimal interruptions as they move into a regulatory framework. Please note that our proposed recommendations for grandparenting current massage therapists only apply to practicing massage therapists who qualify under the proposed application, and not students at the time the college comes into existence at proclamation of the legislation. As we have mentioned, this process and timing is set by the Alberta government, and only they can set timelines. This is a standard definition across professions who transition into a regulated environment. For grandparenting current practitioners, there are two proposed paths. Under this application, for those who complete the grandparenting process, we have proposed no entry to practice exam be required. I am going to repeat this as it is one of the most commonly asked questions. Under this application, for those who complete the grandparenting process, we have proposed no entry to practice exam be required. So path one in the grandparenting process, as contained in the application, is for those practicing therapists who are members in good standings of CMOTA, CRMTA, MTAA, and the NHPC. Membership into these associations requires stringent standards and documentation. Under this proposed application, in addition to providing documentation that affirms their good standing status with the aforementioned associations, applicants would also be required to provide a current criminal record check, current certification in first aid, and to pay the appropriate fees. In path two, as contained in the application, is for any individual who resides in Alberta and is a practicing massage therapist who is not a member of one of the aforementioned associations. In addition to documentation that is required for path one, applicants eligible for path two would require to provide proof of completion of education demonstrating that they meet the minimum education as outlined in the interjurisdictional practice competencies and performance indicators document. This is also known as the IJPCPI. Also, proof of at least 500 hours of practice within the 3 years preceding proclamation, and proof of English fluency. Just as a note, the IJPCPI is a 25-page document that outlines the competencies. If you'd like to learn more about that, I encourage you to review the document at your earliest convenience. We are happy to provide you with that link, or simply Google it if you would like to. And that is about all for our grandparenting. And then I will, let me see.
Do we have any questions on these topics, Heather?
We sure do. I will bring up the first question here regarding grandparenting. So first question, I graduated in Alberta for massage therapy. I'm currently with NHPC and I qualify for grandparenting. I am currently residing in BC. Do I need to be living in Alberta in order to be grandparented? Or can I stay in BC and apply for grandparenting?
So under the way that we propose this is that you do have to be a resident of Alberta to be grandparented into the college.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. Next question. How long is the grandparenting time frame?
I think that's going to be up to the government. There might be somebody, I don't know if anybody else can answer that too. There really isn't a time frame, but Jeremy might be able to give a better answer than I can on this one.
Yeah, so in accordance with the proposal, grandparenting would be able to take place up to 90 days after proclamation of the college. So you would need to complete the grandparenting portion within that first 90 days of proclamation of the college. So that's what's currently included in the proposal.
Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, next question is, how can I prove my English fluency when applying for grandparenting?
If you're already with an association right now, you've done all you need to do to be grandparented in. There are many other ways to become English fluent. Yeah, there's different ways that you can definitely do that. But if you're already in an association and practicing, you've already done what you need to do.
Perfect. Thank you, Jason. Okay, next question. What will happen to the current students enrolled in programs at the time the college is formed? Will they be eligible for grandparenting?
Jeremy, do you want to jump onto this one also? Sorry, just because you know
Sure, I
better on
don't
the.
I don't mind at all. When it comes to grandparenting, if you are a student at the time of proclamation, your opportunity to grandparent in would be closed, and you would be required at that point to take an entry to practice exam. So it just depends on the timing of when the college reaches proclamation and comes into force or begins.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeremy. Does this mean we can practice in all provinces if it is approved? This might be in a different section, which, oh, sorry, I apologize. Sorry, does this mean we can practice in all provinces if we go ahead with regulation?
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of regulation. We can answer more of the benefits of regulation for the therapist itself a little bit later on. But yes, you as a registrant of the college, you will be able to go to other regulated provinces and work there with minimal interruption, other than taking a jurisprudence exam, which is all basically just their bylaws and things and how they work in that province.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Okay, next question. If I have a non-practicing status, which this differs between associations, that may be just a non-active, non-practicing, inactive, something like that. The term is interchangeable. Would I be grandfathered in, or would I need to be a fully practicing therapist to be eligible for the grandparenting?
I believe as long as you're as long as you're with your association, and again, Jeremy can probably jump in better on this one than I can.
Yeah, so the way that we have it proposed, you would need to be a full practicing member of your association. Those who are inactive at the time would need to activate their memberships.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Is there a date for the proclamation of the college or an expected time frame?
There's no date. And this again will probably come up later in our talk. There's a couple different ways that we can do this, but we can answer this one a little bit later for sure.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Okay. What exactly is grandparenting if there's no exam?
So we're taking basically the provincial exam or the board exams as they're called. So when you're normally in a regulated province and you finish your schooling, you would have to take their provincial exam to make sure that you have acquired the knowledge and are deemed a registrant after passing. To grandfather in, we've taken that out right now. You don't need to do a board exam at this time. So until proclamation happens, and then there will be board exams or provincial exams.
Thanks, Jason. Okay. What will happen to students already enrolled in their program but finish after proclamation? What happens in that transition phase?
And where am I here? Sorry.
This question right here.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, it was already comes
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
I believe you'll have to take the exam, but again, Jeremy might be able to answer that again a little bit better than I could, just as he's knows more about the proclamation part of it there. Sorry, Jeremy, to throw that on you there.
Yeah, no, not a problem. So again, for any students that are currently in school and have not graduated on the day of proclamation, an entry to practice exam would be required in order to join the college. Only those who have completed their program before the day of proclamation would have a pathway, either pathway 1 or pathway 2 into the college. If you haven't graduated prior to, you would not be considered a practicing therapist, a full practicing therapist under the proposal. And so any students that would be, even if they are enrolled, they would still need to have completed their training prior to proclamation.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeremy. This next one, it sounds like it's maybe a bit of a financial piece as well, but there's grandfathering as well, grandparenting as well. So the question is, disciplinary cases taken before the Court of Queen's bench can cost anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 per case for the college. Are you certain this grandparenting proposal is adequate in terms of protecting the college from grandparenting in people who are not, in fact, educated appropriately or professional enough to prevent multiple cases, which will cost the college literally thousands and thousands of dollars? This is an enormous expense to the college. Do we want to take that now, or? Okay, thanks.
I will, in one sense. Later on in the financial piece, I'm going to touch on this a little bit more, and so I'm gonna ask that we take this and put it into the financial piece, and I will cover it off there. But you are correct, whoever it is that said there is an enormous cost to financial complaints, and that's going to be more later.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeremy. Okay, next question. We'll take a couple more for grandparenting and then move on to the next section. And then if there's time, we'll continue on with more questions at the end. Okay, so next question. If we are a member of one of the 4 associations noted in Path 1, can we still be grandfathered in if we are an active member but not actively performing massage therapy for 6 to 12 months or more?
Yeah, as long as you keep your active status with one of the associations and you're in good standing, you can be grandfathered in.
Okay, one more. Will we be given notice beforehand in order to have the opportunity to reactivate an inactive membership to be grandparented in if we choose to do so?
Absolutely. There's gonna be updates and everything that, if anything comes down that you need to know about, we're definitely gonna give you plenty of time to know beforehand when you need to reactivate. We're not gonna just do it tomorrow and hope everything works out. So you'll definitely have plenty of notice.
Okay. Christy, did we want to move on or carry on with these couple more?
Yeah, we'll move on next to the continuing competency piece, which is Jason will make that presentation as well, and then we'll have questions after that, and we'll just carry on from there. And at the end, we'll cover any questions that hasn't been answered yet. So thanks.
All right, so hello again. So gonna continue the continuing competency programs. So the goal of any continuing competency program is to allow practitioners to continually maintain and improve their knowledge and skill set within the scope of practice when treating their patients. In our application, we are recommending that the future college's continuing competence program may include the following: practice visits, credit-based or outcome-based continuing education, self-reflections, or personal learning development plans. We currently support continuing competency programs for our individual associations and their members, which are included in Appendix 8 of the application. These are consistent with the programs used by the regulatory colleges in regulated jurisdictions in Canada. It's important to note that with regulation, registrants would be subject to the obligations in the Alberta Health Professions Act that ensure professionals maintain their competency and view their skills development as a lifelong process. These obligations may differ from province to province. However, the HPA or Health Professions Act obligates all health professionals to view the maintenance of competence and the ability to apply advances in their profession as a lifelong process. And that was a simple one, so there's not too much there.
Do we have any questions, Heather, regarding continuing competency?
Just pulling that up. No, it doesn't look like there's anything so far. Did you want to carry on or go back and answer a few questions?
Let's just carry on to the next section then, and I'll ask Adam to do the presentation on modalities and scope of practice. And then as questions come up, we'll cover more at the end then. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Adam.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adam Salzman, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join us for this important conversation. I'm a board member and representative on the working group for the Certified Registered Massage Therapy Association. Today, I will be speaking with you regarding the proposed scope of practice for massage therapists in the working group's application, as well as our practice modalities. There are many questions and many modalities in which people will have questions and stuff about. So I do wish to ask people to remember, we don't have the answers for every single modality as we go through, but I will give you guys a little bit more information. I do hope that you've reviewed the video and you've read through the application so that as we go through, I'm going to just be answering some questions that are really common from that. One of the first questions we tend to hear a lot about as far as scope of practice and modalities go is people unsure whether or not they'll be able to continue to practice certain techniques anymore. And as I mentioned in the video, therapists will be allowed to continue to practice the techniques they have acquired training in. The only difference is a greater specificity around what would be considered massage therapy. Techniques showing benefits to clients that continue to be utilized just outside of what is considered massage therapy session and cannot be billed as massage. So you can still practice, you just wouldn't be able to call it massage or bill it as a massage session for those. Another question we tend to get a lot about is insurance coverage. And I cannot speak on behalf of the insurance industry and what they would cover. This would be a discussion between the future college and the insurance industry. In discussions, they will determine collaboratively what is to be included. With specific modalities. So I won't dive into the endless list of specific modalities for therapists, since at this point, we cannot guarantee what will be approved or what the college will accept. We have merely crafted a guide for the future college with as much flexibility as is possible, while relying on techniques that support the scope of massage therapists and is in alignment with most other colleges across Canada. At this point, we don't have an accepted scope, only a proposal. These are merely recommendations, and all modalities will be reviewed and approved by the proposed future college. For some specifics, I can go into things like active ingredients. I have a lot of people asking what is considered an active ingredient on our category list. And active ingredients refer to the use of items like oils, creams, lotions, salves, etc., with properties that support a massage therapy session. These include essential oils, mint oils, tiger balms, biofreezes, etc. This does not refer to the use of controlled substances like marijuana, including THC or CBD. We included a section on active ingredient products to ensure that therapists safely practicing with the products to support their work would be able to continue to use them. Questions about energy work is a very common one. And energy work is not encompassed within the current proposed application, as we have chosen modalities that support the physical hands-on manipulation techniques that have significant impartial, peer-reviewed research. Energy workers will still be able to practice their work. It just wouldn't be considered massage therapy and therefore wouldn't be billed as such either. For lymphatic work, we get a decent amount of questions about lymphatic work, and currently basic lymphatic work is considered under the scope of the IJPCPIs as a foundational technique. Advanced work, though, would need to be reviewed by the college upon its creation. With regards to kinesiology, so currently under our proposed application, we are only requesting home care access to stretching and exercises under this modality. The rest would be up to the college's determination. Needling. A number of colleges across Canada currently have needling techniques included within their scope of practice. To stay current and allow for therapists to have flexibility within their scope, we have also requested this be part of our scope of practice, although it is seen as a restricted activity. Restricted activities have greater rules, training, and require further insurance coverage to be practiced. This does not mean that the therapist can perform acupuncture, which has its own college. It will be for the future college to determine the specifics and parameters of this modality if it is determined to be included. Now, I've made reference of the scope categories, and if you will have reviewed the application or the video that we sent out, we have broken down different categories of types of treatment, and I really encourage people to go and take a look. It is possible that in the future, a modality that you currently practice might be considered under one of these. Heather, do we have any questions?
We do. Oh, sorry, modalities. No, there is nothing under modalities. We
Perfect,
do,
my
however,
favorite.
we do have two questions that came in regarding continuing competency. I'm not sure, did you want to go to those, Christy, or move on?
Yes, yeah, let's actually take some questions, like even some of the general questions and any of the, like anything that we've covered up to this point. We'll take
Sure.
some questions and then before we get into the finance section of it. So go ahead.
Okay, sure. Okay, first question to you, Jason, is when I take a class for the credits, can I submit the certificate to both my association and a future regulatory college? And can I get credit from both?
Sorry. So you would be submitting your certifications just to the college. The college and the associations take different roles. We'll definitely be going over that a little bit, the difference between what a college does versus an association once regulation comes in. But you would be submitting your certificate to the college itself.
Perfect. Thanks, Jason. Next question. Will continuing education only be offered via the college? And will they be affordable? Will the college require mandatory classes to be taken?
We don't, to go off the mandatory classes to take, we don't know what the college will do right now. In our proposal, we proposed a few things that we would like to see, but ultimately it's up to the college. Continuing education only be offered via the college? No, I mean, it'll be probably similar to what's going on now, but the college will be having some standards for courses to come on and to be accredited with the college to allow you to get your certification and stuff like that. So.
Okay, looks like that's all we've got for now for the continuing competency, but Adam, we do have a few questions now for modalities and scope of practice. So the first question is, have any of the schools as stakeholders being consulted on the modalities and scope of practice being proposed in the application?
That's a great question. As part of the mandate, the government actually has to go through and have discussions with stakeholders involved. And so through that process, these schools will be have an opportunity to give their opinions, speak about it. But at this point, it's still a little bit early for that. So that is to come.
Okay, next question. Who will be determining the encompass and evidence-based modality? Who will be determining what encompasses an evidence-based modality? Will this be a council? Will this be the council of RMTs with experience, or will this become a politician decision by the government? Will there be criteria of those who decide if modalities are approved? Must have to prove that they have unbiased and credible experience or relevant RMT training.
So off the bat, the government will have a say what is encompassed within our scope here. But as the college is established, the college will have say as well. So they will be the ones who are putting it into place. They will get into the minutia of the details. But right off the bat, the government will be reviewing what we've proposed so far and determining whether it is an acceptable scope to them.
Perfect. Okay. I think you may have already touched on this, Adam, but the question is, I was wondering about dry needling. Is that something that massage therapists could potentially practice?
That's exactly what is in our application, actually, is the term dry needling at this moment. So definitely feel free to watch the video or read the application, and you'll see that that is the terminology used in there.
Perfect. Okay. What about adjunct modalities such as fire cupping?
I have a feeling we're going to be getting into a lot of individual specific types of massage therapy and practices. And these are all things that I cannot give direct details on because I don't know. Until a full college is established and they are able to review all potentials, we won't have an answer on those.
Okay,
I
excellent.
actually see other ones like oncology massage, other cuppings, laser therapy, a couple ones that I'm not sure I even know. They will all need to go through a review process, which we are a little too big picture at the moment. We're not getting into those specifics. That is for the college to do.
Perfect. Sounds good. Okay, we got another continuing competency question. If I have continuing education credits from my current association, but has been removed as a credit practiced by the college, will that delete my credits?
So all credits you have, if I'm understanding this correctly, all credits you have right now will be transferred through, I believe. Just because you're being grandparented in, so the college will develop a competency program of a certain amount of years for your once proclamation sets in for when your next education cycle will be needed to happen. So you should be okay.
Okay. Will the college be offering continuing education classes on site?
Not sure what you mean by on site. Not necessarily at the college. Continuing ed classes, if you think of what's going on right now, it's pretty much going to be the same, but the college will be reviewing all continuing ed courses to allow for CECs to be approved. So you still might be able to go to Calgary or Edmonton or wherever to do a course. So yeah, it won't be at the college per se. Yeah, just basically kind of what we're used to right now.
Perfect. If a course or training that is already practiced in another province that is regulated, does that likely mean that it will also be accepted here?
Not necessarily. It just depends how the college again works, what approvals it does and reviews certain modalities, and if they approve it, and if it falls under our scope of practice, because each scope of practice through the provinces is a little bit different.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to move up to the top here. Christy, I've got some general questions directed to you. And then just let me know when I'll just keep firing off the questions and then just let me know when we're ready to move on to the next section. So first question is, how will regulation benefit RMTs? This seems to benefit the public. Why will we be paying more fees per year if we join a regulatory college? We already are expected to do continuing education with our associations, which ensures learning as a therapist.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to see if I can just share my screen here. Share. Can you see that? The benefits of regulation for the profession of and practitioner.
We sure can.
Okay, perfect. So there's the benefits is to elevate a profession and to be recognized as actually a health profession under the Health Professions Act in Alberta. So to be recognized under the Health Professions Act means that we would be recognized as an essential healthcare worker. So regulation will protect professional titles such as RMT and massage therapist. So only those that meet the minimum competency and conduct requirements would be able to use these protected titles. So therefore, it would assist the public in differentiating who the health professionals are for massage and those that are not. So it says here, if there's another pandemic that comes in, massage therapy in Alberta would be considered in consideration with the other healthcare professions, such as chiropractors, physiotherapists, and acupuncturists. So we'd be grouped under an actual health profession instead of under wellness. And it provides the public with one point of contact for filing complaints that may arise. So this is important for being recognized as a profession. It builds trust in the public, and as the public actually engages with massage therapists to pursue their needs. And it provides consistent and requires consistent ongoing education to maintain competency standards, because that is how we protect the public. And regulated massage therapists can move and work in other regulated provinces, so that is a benefit as well. Again, it says here, you just have to write your jurisprudence exam, but mobility becomes a possibility for those who do want to move. And regulating the profession in Alberta will allow us the opportunity to work with other regulated provinces, with the government, provincial and federal, and municipalities to further promote massage therapy as a sensible healthcare option. So I can give an example. When I was sitting on the in the working group meetings for the provincial government for the Motor Vehicle Accident Insurance Task Force, we did not have a college sitting at the table. So I'm sitting there with the College of Surgeons and Physicians and other health professions. But because we didn't have a regulated college, we did not have a voting voice at that table. So it would definitely strengthen our professionalism, and we'd be able to elevate our profession if we were regulated. I think that answers that question, Heather.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, next question is, how were working group members selected? Was there an application process?
So the working group was selected again by the 5 organizations, which is the 4 massage associations and the Transitional Council. So the president of the Transitional Council is the spokesperson and the facilitator for the working group. And then each of the 4 massage associations put forward 3 representatives. They're volunteers or administration from their own organization to the working group. So it's on a volunteer basis, and the association selected those that they felt had the expertise to represent the profession and their organization in the working group.
Great. Okay, next question. It's not clear to me what benefit I will have if the application is accepted. In my workplace, will they pay me more? Is it mandatory to be part of the regulatory college? In addition to paying the membership to my association, will I also need to pay now for being part of the regulatory college? If in my job they are forcing me to attend clients for whom a massage is contraindicated, the regulatory college will defend me from my boss? Question mark. One of the requirements to be part of the regulatory college is an English language test. However, this was one of the requirements to achieve before studying the program as a massage therapist. So why ask it again? If I have an English language test, for how many years is it valid in order to submit it? Could you repeat the differences between the regulatory college and the association in this case? I know that's a lot of questions, so let me know. Do you want me to read the first one again and answer that? Sure.
I'll start answering, and then you just carry on the parts that I've missed, because yeah, I've actually have lost my question page in front of me. So, oh, there, I found it now. So I'll just begin, and you can let me know what I've missed. So the beginning was, do you have to pay more fees because you belong to an association and a college? Correct? That's
Yes.
where, I just want to pull it up here.
That's this
Okay,
guy
so
here.
that is correct. An association will be there to represent yourself. In other words, they provide member services. So if there's any thing that comes up between the regulatory college and the association, will be there to help you address any of the issues with the regulatory college. So they provide that member support. So you would, if you are a regulated health professional, a regulated massage therapist, you would have to pay college fees to belong to the college. And then, yes, there are association fees as well to be a member of an association. It's not mandatory, but it's optional, so you get to make the decision. So the difference between a regulatory college is it protects the public, and the association will provide you, I think that was part of your question, member support if there's something that comes up. Now, if I'm just trying to think, what was the other questions, Heather, that I missed?
In my workplace, will they pay me more?
Oh, so it is possible that, yeah, the registered massage therapist will be recognized of holding a standard of competency that they would get paid more than other massage therapists or massage people who are practicing massage just as a relaxation. However, the college does not set the fees. So we're not the ones that are going to be saying that, yes, you're going to get more pay. This is just a function of looking at what's happening in BC. You'll typically have a registered massage therapist charge higher fees than anyone practicing, that is not recognized as a massage health professional and just practicing relaxation massage. So the potential is there, yes, to make more money or pay you more in the workplace, depending on, like, we don't regulate businesses, and so we don't know what your agreement is or arrangement is with your employer. So we don't get involved in that. The only involvement we get in is just to ensure the massage therapists are meeting a competency standard that is to protect the public. So I'm not sure if that helps answer your question or not. So it's a possibility, but we don't regulate that. We don't get involved in that.
So the next question is kind of a two-part. They're both surrounding English fluency. So does it expire, basically? Like, how many years is it valid? And the English test, if you're already part of an association.
Right. So if you're already part of an association and you've met the association standards and you're a member in good standing, then that would just transfer over. You would be grandparented into the regulatory college. Now, the details from a regulatory college perspective, we have not worked on those details as to when does something expire? When do you need to update that? That is further down the road in the development of the college, which we wouldn't address until after massage therapist has been added to the Health Professions Act. So there is a lot of time for this to even happen. So this question is just too detailed at this point in time. We're just creating the framework right now of what the college does.
Thanks. I think maybe Jason might have actually touched on this, and maybe you did as well at the beginning, but do we have a rough guesstimate on a timeline for when we will be regulated?
So I'm just going to pull up another screen share here. And okay, is it showing there now?
Yes, I
Okay.
see your screen.
Okay, and so when we're looking at the timeline, we are down kind of in this, I don't know if you can see my cursor, in this kind of purpley box down here. So what we're waiting for is we got to wait for the minister to make a recommendation to the legislature for the MLAs to vote. That won't happen until next year. We don't know if we can get on the spring legislative agenda or the fall legislative agenda. So that has to happen first. And we're at the point where we just submitted our application. So the Minister of Health might have more questions and would like to have more consultations with stakeholders, including us and others. So once the Minister of Health is satisfied with the information they have, and they make the recommendation to the legislature, and the legislature votes on it, including massage therapist in the Health Professions Act, then we go into writing the actual legislation or the rules, like the standards of practice, code of ethics, that sort of thing. And that is typically that 2 to 5 year process that we've all heard about in our entire careers practicing as massage therapists. But that doesn't start until after massage therapy has been added to the Health Professions Act. Then after that legislation is completed, then there's additional legal activities that have to happen before proclamation occurs. So we are looking at quite a significant time frame here, and we don't know when exactly that's going to be, but it's not going to be right away. This is a significant process, so it could be, like we're hoping to get into the Health Professions Act next year. Then we got to work on writing the legislation, and then the government is the one that decides when they're going to, be completing those additional legal activities. So it's not anytime soon, but it is, potentially coming, and we will let you know as the regulation process proceeds where we are in this process. And if we do have any timelines, we'll let you know.
Perfect. Thank you, Christy. Next question. Will provincial regulation eventually bring an end to all associations, and we will have one association for all RMTs in the province?
No, it will not. The goal of creating the regulatory college is to take the piece of complaints and ensuring minimum competency standards and that continuing education piece out of the massage associations, but massage associations will still exist because they will provide other services such as group insurance and other member services, and also member representation if needed. And so we're not replacing or getting rid of any of the massage associations. We're just taking apart, because right now, currently, the associations do play a dual role in protecting the public, but also providing member services. So we were removing the protecting the public piece out from the massage associations into a regulatory college, into one body. And so we'll have one licensing body. It's a one organization that will provide you your practice license to practice as a registered massage therapist in Alberta.
Okay, next question. Are there any school representatives on the working group? And have any of the schools as stakeholders being consulted with the proposals?
I feel like we've kind of answered this question, but I'll just briefly say it again. Right now, it's the 4 associations and the transitional council. Those are the representatives on the working group. And schools will be most likely consulted by the government during their consultation process. Yeah, and so I believe that has been covered, but we haven't, I don't think the government's reached out yet because we just submitted our application on October 15th. So it's too soon for us to give you any more information regarding that at this point.
Perfect. Yeah. Next question regarding schools. Will our current curriculum be grandfathered in, or will we need to implement changes to align with new standards and requirements? If we need to change course curriculum, then it all needs to be done by us, or will the college be, sorry, if we need to change course curriculum, then it all needs to be done by us, or the college will be providing some help with this.
So yeah, this sounds like it's a question from someone in that's a school or providing programs. Again, we haven't gotten this far yet. Course curriculum would be based, I would just say right now at this point, look at our interjurisdictional document, the practice competencies and practice indicators. That is the basic framework for the minimum competency standard and entry to practice for massage therapists in Alberta. Right now, there's the 2016 version of it. And I guess maybe we could throw a link up there if we can find it throughout our session to the IJ doc. And there will be time for schools if there is, again, just like grandparenting for massage therapists, there is a transition period for school programs, but we have not got into that. We're not at that point right now to even enter that discussion yet, because right now we're just at the stage of looking at making sure the government's going to approve our framework that we've currently submitted, and then we'd be able to provide more information once that's approved. Do you have anything to add that to Jeremy?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the IJ doc is included in the application, and I did put a link to the application in the webinar chat. So if you're looking for that information, it can be found there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy and Christy. Next question. I'm planning to move back to Ontario in a few years after being here with the MTAA for 23 years. Will regulation in Alberta provide a seamless transition into registering in Ontario?
Well, I guess if you are a member of the College of Alberta, but we don't know when that college is going to be. And if you're moving in a few years, we can't say that that will be actually in place yet. So, but the goal is once we do create a regulatory college and it's proclaimed by the government, then there would be a mobility, capability. So I'm just concerned, like, I can't answer your question because I'm not sure if your timeline of moving is going to be in line with the timeline of setting up the college here in Alberta.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll just take maybe a few more questions and then get into the finance piece, unless there's other questions in other categories, Heather.
Sure, sounds
Okay.
good. So next one here is, there is no exam as of yet, but there will be after proclamation. And who will be required to take an entry to practice exam?
So anyone who is a new graduate after proclamation would be required to take the entry to practice exam to be considered a registrant of the college.
Okay, one more and then move on to finance.
Sure.
Are we still entitled to charge our clients with their health benefits insurance if we decide not to join the college, or will we be eligible for grandparenting? I graduated this year. Will those who choose not to join the college be considered as a spa therapist? And will just have to charge cash?
So we can't answer what the insurance industry will do, but typically in other regulated provinces, if you are a registrant of the college, then you'll be eligible to have your services reimbursed by health benefits. If you choose not to join a college, most likely, I'm not going to say 100%, but right now, most likely, those receipts would not be reimbursed by a health benefits company. And how you charge that's up to you as a business. We don't advise on any business practices per se. And so in other words, you want to be considered a relaxation, like just a relaxation practitioner, and not join the college. You can still practice, but most likely your clients would not have the eligibility of reimbursing their receipts, if I'm understanding that question correctly.
Okay, sounds good. So we do have other questions in the other topics that we've already covered so far. Did you want to move on to those questions or move on to finance?
Yeah, we can take a couple more, I guess, from the other categories, but at finance, let's maybe in about 10 minutes get into finance.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Okay. So this is under continuing competency. Will the college provide a website link to already approved modality courses?
Again, more than likely, you're going to have to be able to know what courses are going to be approved by the college so that you can get your continuing education. So more than likely, but obviously we can't talk about or talk for the college, but that would be one of the things I'd assume that they would be doing.
Okay, perfect. Next question. This one is modalities and scope of practice. So to you, Adam, what about somatic therapy continuing education classes? Would those be considered?
Again, I can't get into specific modalities. All of that will depend in the future as to what the college decides on moving forward with. From my understanding, I believe it would not fall in category, but at this point, it's so early that we can't get into the specifics of each modality.
Okay, next question. Will I still be able to practice everything that I learned in my massage program?
Most programs, I believe, pretty much all programs are based off of our IJPCPI document that we're basing this off of as well. So as long as your school is following your IJ docs, they may have additional modalities in which they teach at your school. But again, that will be the specifics in which the college will get into later.
Okay, next question. I think that covers everything. There's still a few more general, actually there's a couple grandparenting ones here. Let's move to that. So back over to you, Jason. To clarify grandparenting without a board exam, for practice, to clarify, grandparenting without a board exam exists for practitioners currently active with their member association at the time of proclamation.
Yeah, so if you you'll be grandparented into the college without a board exam, as long as you're an active member and in good standing with your association at the time of proclamation.
Okay, next question. What about a massage therapist who received their credentials outside of Canada, but is practicing using their employer credentials as a therapist, and they are only charging for this service way cheaper? Can they get into the grandparenting? Yeah,
If so, no. If somebody's using their employer's credentials as therapists, so number one, that's fraud. I'm assuming this person is not going to be a member in good standing or with an association, so they would not be able to be grandparented in.
yes, that is correct. Okay, next question. Do we have to be grandfathered into the college to continue practicing as an RMT? I do believe we've already touched on that one.
Yeah, so you don't, I mean, if you don't want to be part of the college, you can still continue to practice. You would lose the title of RMT because that would become protected, as well as other titles and any of the benefits that go with having that title. But you're still able to practice. You may not be able to bill insurance companies, as Christy was speaking to earlier. So yeah, you can definitely still practice, but you wouldn't be an RMT or a massage therapist or any of the protected titles.
Okay, next question. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in my country and took English proficiency with a certificate. Do you think this documentation is valid for grandparenting, or will I need to take another test for proficiency again?
So I'm assuming this person is already part of an association. So if you're already a part of an active association and in good standing, you've done all the work that you need to do for your English proficiency. Again, we don't know what the college is going to come out with after proclamation and how that's going to work. But right now, as grandfathering, if you're with an association as an active member, then you don't have to worry about the English proficiency right now.
Okay, Christy, did you want to move on to the next section now? That kind of covers everything except for the general.
Sure, yeah, let's get into the financial implications from Jeremy, and then we can take financial questions and then mix in general. If we still have time at the end, we can carry on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jeremy. I am a member of CMOTA. I have been a practicing therapist for 11 years. I also serve as CMOTA's Government and Industry Relations Manager. And I am going to be talking for the next little bit here about finance and the budget. One of the things that I do want to bring to people's attention is that there has been a lot of confusion recently on social media. And we're looking to correct some of the common misconceptions tonight about those costs. And we hope that those watching here will be able to help us advocate or be our advocates to correct some of the misinformation that's out there. So I'm just going to share a screen here. Bear with me as I do this. So I'm going to just spend a little bit of time talking about what the transition period is and the three different phases, because it's going to help you understand a little bit about the costs. So first off, if you look, phase one of the transition period. So the transition period is the time, as Christy explained earlier, is the time that occurs after an act is introduced into the legislature in Edmonton and has been passed by the MLAs there. So that begins the transition period. And the transition period ends once the act itself comes into force or is proclaimed. And the college begins to exist. So phase one of that transition period begins with the introduction of legislation and concludes once the transitional society is ready to begin receiving registrants. This means that a registrar will be hired, and we will have adequate equipment and software in place to begin registering those who are eligible to grandparent through one of those two pathways that are described in the application and that have already been talked about tonight. Phase 2 is the phase that begins with the opening of applications for registrants to join the transitional society and concludes once the government has confirmed the 90-day window prior to proclamation. So typically speaking, when the government is finally ready to proclaim the college, they would give that college about a 90-day window to let them know that proclamation is coming. At that point, we would begin the activities of phase 3. We anticipate the length of time of phase 2 to be somewhere between 2 to 5 years. Again, if you've been in school, if you've heard the 2 to 5 years until regulation, whether that's, in school through an association, the 2 to 5 years really is the window that happens during that transition phase. It's not anything, the clock doesn't start ticking until we enter that transition phase. So it will largely, the difference between 2 and 5 years oftentimes is largely dependent on the funding that's necessary to complete the required work during this phase, which is largely the creation of documents required to govern the college. So things like a scope of practice, standards of practice, code of ethics, continuing competency program, those types of documents are all of the ones that need to be created. And then also to register those who are choosing to grandparent into the college. Because once proclamation happens and the college comes into existence, you need to be able to be registered and get your registration number in order to continue to practice. So that's phase 2. Phase 3 begins with confirmation that from the government, that the act establishing the college is ready to be proclaimed. And within our funding model, we talk about one-time expenses during those 90 days that allow for hiring, onboarding, and training of necessary staff, and the establishment of a physical college location to be ready for operations on the day that the act is proclaimed and the college comes into existence. So I guess I'm going to start, I'll talk about, let's see, give me one more second and I'm going to put up something that I'm sure many of you have seen. Especially if you have watched the video, you would have seen this slide. If you haven't watched the video, you may have seen this slide being shared on different social media platforms. So first I want to talk about how we came up with the numbers and some decisions that were made within the working group in regard to those things that we took into consideration in coming up with this set of numbers. One of the first premises is that the college needs to be funded, or the creation of the college should be funded by those who wish to become members of the college. In other words, it's not the job of the associations to fund the creation of the college, or the members of the associations to fund the college itself, but rather those who wish to transition into the college or grandparent in. And the second premise that we adopted was that, again, because funding is the main key to keeping it closer to 2 years rather than 5 years, is that we wanted to find a way to encourage early buy-in. And so one of the ideas that we adopted is that no one will ever pay less than those who buy in early. So if you're looking at this screen that I'm sharing, and I'm just going back to it here. What I want you to pay attention to is this area right in here, the application fee and the annual registrant fee. So the application fee is a one-time fee. It is a fee that you as a massage therapist, when you join the transitional society, or if you wait and join during that 90-day window in the college, the application fee is a one-time fee that you pay. Once you have paid that, as long as you continue to be a member of the society and you're paying your annual registration fees, your application fee for the college has been paid. Obviously, if you decided, you know what, I'm not going to pay my annual registration fee this year, well, then you basically lose that under the proposal. So you would pay if you were to choose to join in year one, you would pay that application fee. So where did we come up with the $542? I want to make sure that everybody understands that that's not a number that we just pulled out of a hat. What we did as a finance, that we had a committee that looked at finance, and we looked at other colleges, other jurisdictions that had recently put certain things in place. We looked at one-time costs, or those things that are a one-time expense. For example, you don't buy a new desk every year. You don't buy a new copier every year. You don't create a new code of ethics every year during that transition period. So we were looking at the one-time costs. And so we took all of those one-time costs over the course of that transition period that we anticipate, spending money on. Those one-time costs total about $2.4 million over the course of the 3 different phases. So that $2.4 million, we take that $2.4 million and divide it by 4,444. Now, if you're wondering where we got that number from, in order to be really conservative and to make sure, because again, what we're concerned about and what we really want to see happen is to have this fully funded as quickly as possible once we are able to start taking registrants, so that we can get the work accomplished and get the college functional. So in that, we took where we get the number 4,444. In March of 2022, we asked the 4 associations what their actual membership numbers were on a specific day. And that specific day, we had combined 8,888 members who were fully practicing massage therapists within the province. So that's where we said, okay, if we can get half to buy in early, that would fully fund all of the things that we need to do in the transition period for those one-time expenses. And so you take that 2.4 million number, divide it by 4,444, and you come up with the $542. Now, keep in mind that this is just a proposal, and that those numbers were presented were established in 2022. We all know that there's been inflation since. So what those numbers actually look like will be determined by the Transitional Society Council in the lead up to phase 2. So, but for the purpose of this proposal, and for the purpose of the guidance that we're giving to that Transitional Council, this is the model. And so if you choose to join in year 1, you would pay that $542. This one right here. And then in addition, you would pay another $150 for your annual registrant fee. That annual registrant fee covers the costs of the operation of the college. So the hiring of staff to input your information into the system, the hiring of staff to basically do the work of that transitional society, covering rent, covering paper, et cetera, things like that. So your total cost to join, if in year 1, then would be $692. One other thing that I need to say about this annual registrant fee, whichever year you join, that fee becomes locked in. So if I join in year 1, I will pay $150 as my annual registrant fee in year 1, and then again in year 2, and then again in year 3, and then again in year 4, and so on and so forth until we actually reach proclamation. However, if I was one who decided to say, you know what, I don't want to join in year 1, I'm going to wait until year 3. So again, the premise is that that early buy-in is always going to be cheaper. If I wait until year 3, well, let's go back to year 2. We'll just use year 2. So my one-time application fee in year 2 would be $692. $692 again recognizes the cost that was put in by those who joined in year 1 up to this point. So my initial application fee, if I'm joining in year 2, would be $692. And then my locked-in annual registrant fee would be $250. So I'm going to pay more as somebody joining in year 2, both in my initial application fee as well as my annual registrant fee. And I would pay that $250 every year up until proclamation. So just to give you an idea, if you were to wait until year 5, your total buy-in cost, and let's say that it took us 5 years to get proclaimed, your total buy-in cost as someone who joined in phase 1 would be $1,292. That's the $542 plus your annual fees over those 5 years. If you decided that you were going to be one of those ones that waited until right before proclamation, your total buy-in cost would be that, and we were proclaimed in year 5, your total buy-in cost would be $1,992. And so again, what we're trying to do is encourage that early buy-in so that we can fully fund the costs right at the beginning. So I want to put that cost a little bit into perspective because one of the things that we have heard often is, how in the world am I supposed to afford this? $692 is a lot of money, and it is. We get that. But to put it into perspective, if you're a massage therapist doing 15 treatments a week over the course of 48 weeks of the year, your buy-in cost to join in year 1 is less than $1 per massage, which is a really, really small portion. And again, as I said in the video, and as I have said many places, that $692 isn't due tomorrow. It's not likely even to be due in the next year. You're probably looking at 18 to 24 months at the earliest where that would be due. So if you're putting a little bit of money aside now and start putting that money aside now, when the time comes, it won't be a huge cost to join. And again, the difference between 2 to 5 years is funding. I do want to talk about students just really quickly, and how students will be treated during the transition period. So we understand that during that transition period, we will have graduates coming out of school. And one of the things that we put into the proposal is that anyone that graduates within that transitional period would have the opportunity to join the transitional society at the equivalent of what it would have cost for someone to join in year 1. And that they would have that year to join the transitional society. If they choose not to join the transitional society in that year, then they would end up paying the same as anybody else at whatever period we happen to be in. And the other thing, and it's a commonly asked question, do I need to continue with my association during the transition period? In other words, am I going to still be paying association fees to my association? Am I still going to be part of an association during the transition period? And the answer to that is yes, you will want to, because again, your grandparenting piece is dependent on you being in good standing with your association on the day of proclamation. And the other piece to that is also residing within Alberta. So for those of us who, for the two national associations, we are talking very specifically here about those members who are residing in Alberta, not residing in another province. The other thing that I do want to talk about very briefly is the $915 that I know so many of you have heard about. And $915 is the annual cost after proclamation, the estimated annual cost after proclamation of being registered with the college. When we developed that budget, it is a 30,000 foot level budget. It is not specific. It is not, we had to provide the province with numbers and what those numbers would look like. In order to do that, we took a look at both Ontario and BC. We took a look at 2 years of their data, their financial data, divided it out by the number of therapists that they had registered. And that gave us somewhat of an idea of what the other two jurisdictions that would have similar numbers compared to Alberta would be looking like. There was a question earlier that that came up regarding the cost of complaints. And the reality is that complaints, even within a well-established jurisdiction like Ontario, which has been established for almost 100 years, they still, the bulk of their annual budget is spent on complaints. If you look at most of the regulatory colleges in Alberta, the bulk of their the bulk of their annual costs is spent on complaints. Complaints are expensive. But one of the things that we heard repeatedly from the Alberta government in working through the grandparenting piece was that we needed to provide an opportunity for every person that was practicing to have a pathway into the college. And so that is the ultimate reason why the grandparenting piece is where it's at, and gives opportunity for every person practicing through one of the two pathways to grandparent. And so that concludes my presentation, and I guess we can move to questions regarding finance.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Excellent presentation. Hopefully that helped clarify some of the finance for everybody attending. So first question is, will this eliminate massage therapists from having to collect and submit GST if we are classified as healthcare professionals?
Oh, I really wish that this was the case. And the reality is that it won't. Oh, am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Good. So GST PST is federal jurisdiction and requires, if massage therapy is to be exempted, it requires a change to the Excise Tax Act. We actually met within Canada. We actually met the requirements of the finance bureaucracy in 2019 when Prince Edward Island became regulated. However, the finance minister has not yet chosen to make the changes to the Excise Tax Act. And so unless we, and if you've been paying attention to politics, the federal legislature or parliament, sorry, currently is in a little bit of a stalemate, and no new acts are being introduced at this point, and I'm not sure if anything will be in this fall. But unless there is a change to the Excise Tax Act, whether we're regulated here in Alberta or not, it wouldn't change our requirement to collect or submit GST, PST.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, after regulation has taken place, will massage therapy count as an eligible CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, medical expense for tax returns?
Yes, it would.
Okay, that was an easy one. I heard that the fees massage therapists will be expected to pay will go up, way up after regulation. Will the prices we charge for massage therapy to clients or patients also go up?
So when it comes to charging for massage therapy, and I know this is one of there's another question I think a little bit or that's been posed that I'll cover here as well. So when it comes to the prices, prices typically are set by the therapists within a regulated province. Within Alberta, within the HPA, there is no requirement for the college to set a fee schedule. In fact, I think, and Christy, you may want to jump in on this, it's actually the opposite. We're not allowed to set a fee schedule. So the fee schedule, there are fee schedules that are provided, suggested fee schedules that are provided, for example, in Ontario or BC, but those are not provided by the college. They're actually provided by the associations. And again, it's not a requirement, it's just a suggested. So ultimately, what you choose to charge as a massage therapist would be your decision. So if you want to raise your fees, you raise your fees. What I can say is this: when you do a survey across the country of what people are or what therapists are charging, what you see between a regulated province and an unregulated province is an increase in a cost per hour of massage therapy of between $20 to $30. So in other words, if you're looking in BC, right now you're looking probably $20 or $30 higher than what is currently being charged in Alberta. Same thing in Ontario. Same thing for most of the regulated provinces when you look at their immediate borders or surrounding them where they're not regulated. And so there would be an increase, there tends to be an increase in fees that therapists charge.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Will the public know that we have paid our fees to show them why we charge more? Is there any incentive for the client or patient to come see us?
Again, they're going to be seeking out, clients are going to be seeking out services from you. They will continue to seek out services from you. Whether if you are a member of the college, you will be able to use that protected title. And as we have seen in other jurisdictions which are regulated, the only way that the health insurance companies cover in those is if you're registered with the college. Whether or not that happens in Alberta remains to be seen. But the expectation or the expectation would be that it would probably be very similar to what has happened in every other regulated jurisdiction.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. This next question, there's kind of three of them all kind of tied into one. So I'll just read the question. Let me know if you need me to read it over again. What is it going to cost to be a massage therapist in Alberta? For example, right now I am part of an association and it costs just less than $500 for my association fees. If we have to pay for both college and the association fees, will the association fees be lower? And how much will the college fees be?
Okay. So yeah, there is going to be a cost. So during the transition phase, if you choose to join the transitional society, yeah, you would have that initial buy-in cost, whatever that happens to be if you join in year one. Looking at probably right around that $692. That's your one-time cost as well as that first yearly cost. And then that yearly cost ongoing of $150. You will still need to be part of your association if you want to grandparent in under the association path. And again, so it would be an addition of $150 over your association fees. Once the college is proclaimed, in our proposal, there is no requirement to belong to an association after the college comes into force. So at that point, the question will be up to you whether or not you wish to continue belonging to an association. Obviously, associations have member benefits, have access to lower cost insurance, which is a requirement and is one of the things that you will need to get outside of the college at this point, unless there is a change to the Health Professions Act. But as of right now, you would have to, the responsibility would be on you as a therapist to source your professional liability insurance. And then I'm just trying to look to see what that last question, oh, and how much are the college fees going to be? Again, at a 30,000 foot level, what we suggest is that looking at about that $915. What the actual cost will be is something that will be determined in the lead up to proclamation by the council of the day as they set their budget for that first year of college operations. And you know, it's awfully hard to say what that number would be because there's so much more work that is involved than the very high 30,000 foot level work that we put in to provide the government with a what we considered to be a reasonable number. Again, when compared to other regulated jurisdictions that have similar numbers.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. If regulation takes place, how long is the professional license valid with the college? When will it expire, and would I have to pay the professional membership fees again?
So you have an annual registrant fee, and the key word there is annual. So it is an ongoing annual fee that may fluctuate from year to year, no different than your association membership fees fluctuate from year to year.
Excellent, thank you. Next question is, where does the college anticipate that the funding will come from? Is it strictly from the membership application?
Yes. Funding for the college. So when you self-regulate, that means that you are self-funding. So the funding comes from the therapists that belong to the college or that join the college.
Okay. Wouldn't the transitional society fees be lower than that by the 5-year mark because it would be closer to completion as fees have not been collected over time?
And so again, one of the things that we have established in looking at our fees is that those who buy in early get rewarded for buying in early by keeping their fees lower. If a person chooses to wait until the 5-year mark or the day before proclamation to join, they will pay more than those who choose to join at the beginning or again buy in early. Again, we're looking to get this funded. That's one of the ways that we are encouraging early buy-in. And you know, if you choose not to buy in early, well, then there will be costs associated with that choice.
Okay. The transitional society application fee or registrant fees come into effect once the legislation has voted and the society is formed.
Yeah. So when we talk about year one of the transitional society, what we're actually talking about is year one of phase two. So again, if you go back to when I was talking about phases, phase two begins once the transitional society is ready to start taking members or registrants in that qualify under the grandparenting clauses. So if you're a member of one of the 4 associations, or if you are a practicing therapist who can meet the other requirements under that second pathway, then you would have the opportunity to join the transitional society, pay your fees. But again, that doesn't actually come into effect until we open that up once we're ready to begin phase two. So 18, 24, it's a ways away.
Okay, thank you. What would the member receive for their application and annual fee prior to proclamation?
Reduced cost.
Excellent. Yep. Okay, next question. Will I still have to pay for a municipal city massage therapy license as well as the college fee and the association fee?
And I'm going to turn this one over to Christy.
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
I sure can.
Thank you.
Will I have to pay a municipal or a city license as well as the college fee and the association fee?
So if you are a member of a registered, regulated college and you're a registrant, you would not have to pay any municipal business licensing fees.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Next question. Would the transitional society fee be reduced if all 8,000 RMTs sign up early?
At this point, no. And most of you are probably sitting there wondering, well, now you've got double the funding. If we have money left over at the end of that transition period, and I do hope that 8,000 therapists sign up in that first year. I hope that actually every last therapist practicing in the province of Alberta signs up in that first year. What will happen to those excess funds is they will roll over into the first year of college operation. And what the college chooses to do with that funding or that money would be up to the college at the time. One of the things that we have seen when we were studying other jurisdictions is that they put money into reserves to help keep the annual costs low. So they take the interest that's earned off of those reserves, and maybe that's a model that transitional council would look at. Maybe it keeps the college fees below that $915 for the first couple of years. That remains to be seen. But again, the goal in all of this is to see us fund it and get the funding in place as quickly as possible so that we don't have to worry about beating the drums, so to speak, to make sure that we have enough funding to continue to get the work done. Because again, the difference between 2 years and 5 years oftentimes has everything to do with the amount of dollars available to do the work.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Proclamation isn't guaranteed, so why are we paying into something that may never happen?
So if there is a legislative act that's passed through to establish the college, it will be proclaimed. Again, the only thing that holds up proclamation is getting those regulations and the regulation work done. So the creation of your code of ethics, your standards of practice, your continuing competency, your entrance to practice exam, all of those pieces that form the bones of the college, all are done by the college. They're not done by the province. And so that is the thing that holds up proclamation. But provided that the work is done, and once the work is done, the college will be proclaimed.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Next question. Will we be notified once the legislature is approved and the transitional society is formed?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we have been saying is start making sure that continue to make sure that you're reading all of the information that comes from your associations. The Alberta Working Group releases our information through the associations, as well as through the TC Facebook page and TC website, so that all therapists in the province know what's happening as soon as we have information to release. And so I know that over the last couple of years, there's been lots of talk. Why haven't we heard anything? Well, it takes time, right? And now we're finally here, and we're finally to the point where we're informing and letting you know, and that information will continue to flow as we see things happen and move.
Okay, excellent. Next question. If the costs are fully covered right at the beginning, it seems like an exorbitant fee in the following years, especially year 5. It seems like a form of crowdfunding. Is this a normal process?
Again, it's when we were looking at ways that we could get the funding and get the funding early, it's the model that we adopted. Yes, it is an exorbitant fee in year 5. And again, it's a $700 difference between, but those who choose to join early should be rewarded for joining early. And that's the whole idea and premise behind that decision.
Okay, next question. Will there be an option to pay the transitional society fees in installments?
So that would be a decision of the council of the day. However, again, if you're looking at being fully funded, that's the whole point in having that fee in that first year. So hope that answers your question.
Okay. Why can't the government body apply for a grant to build the college just like a daycare facility would apply for a grant from the government instead of the parents being charged to build the daycare? Because technically that is what you were wanting us to do.
So again, when it comes down to funding, what the government body says is if you are self-regulating, you are the ones that are responsible to regulate. That includes the establishment of the college and the costs related to it. It's one of the requirements. It's why one of the requirements from them within our application was to include a budget. And for us to show how we would bring that college into existence. There isn't government money for it. There isn't, that's something that's never speculated. The only piece of government funding that ever comes into effect within even a regulatory college setting is when you have government appointed college members or government appointed council members of the college. So right now there is the possibility of having 50% of the college council being made up of what they call public members. So those would be members of the public, not members of the profession, or not necessarily members of the profession, but individuals that are appointed by the health minister to serve on that council. Those individuals are paid their per diems and any expenses by the provincial government, not by the college. So that's the only government funding that is considered or available under the Health Professions Act.
Okay, thank you. The budget was based on 2022 numbers, and we've seen much inflation over the years. How will we consider this?
So if you go into the application and take a look, one of the lines that you will see is what we called contingency. So we put a 10% contingency in. One of the reasons that we did that was to account for inflation, because in 2022 we knew that inflation was a very real threat, and we wanted to be able to show that we were taking that into consideration. So it's kind of already been there. What the actual numbers will look like will be determined by the transitional council in the lead up to phase 2, as far as the costs of buy-in and the costs of an annual fee. And those will be, the council of the day, I am sure, will make it very clear what those costs will be to the profession. It's not something that'll be hidden. But again, it's taking that budget that's been there and probably readjusting the numbers a little bit. And again, maybe adjusting the numbers because we were looking at a larger, I mean, in 2022, we had 8,888 massage therapists in Alberta. How many do we have today? I don't know because we haven't asked that question recently. Maybe that number has gone up, maybe it's gone down. But again, they'll be looking at how they establish that fund and using the budget that was included in the application as a template.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Will we have another webinar before the Transitional Society opens its doors to help us move through all of the steps and the how-tos of joining the society?
And this is let me put it this way. I don't think that this will be the last time that we'll be having webinars and education. I think that it's something that will probably continue throughout the process. And again, stay connected to your associations. That's the best thing that you can do.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The associations will help also guide through this process. Okay, next question is there any chance that a portion of what we pay to be in good standing with our association goes towards the fees required to the Transitional Society? It seems like a lot.
So again, one of the things that we established in establishing our budget is that it is the members of the college that need to pay for the establishment of the college. If we were to take fee or to take money from any of the associations as money used to establish, not as provided as a loan, but used to establish, what we would be doing is setting that association and all of the members of that association as funders of the college. And there may very well be the members of that association that choose not to join, whether they're headed into retirement, whether they have a practice where they simply don't see the need to be a member of the college because maybe they're only treating 5 or 6 people and it's not, they're treating them under a relaxation model, or maybe they're using Thai massage as an example. Maybe they choose not to join. And so again, that's the reason why the funding needs to come from the massage therapists and not from the associations.
Okay, I think we may have already touched on this one, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. Will our association fees reduce in cost once the college is proclaimed, since the protection of the public scope will be transferred over to the college?
And so that would actually be a question for your association. It wouldn't be a question that I think any of us would even be able to answer, partly because the most associations that those fees are set by your boards. And so again, what will association fees look like once college is proclaimed? Well, who knows? It's anybody's best guess.
Okay, next question. What happens when a therapist goes to an association, to a non-practicing or inactive membership with the regulatory college? Will we still need to pay the college fees?
So typically speaking, if you're looking at other jurisdictions that are regulated, Ontario or BC, they do have inactive membership fees once you have joined the college. If you are taking a break, there would be a college fee that you would still have to pay, but typically it's half or less than half. Again, that's other jurisdictions. What the decision of the day will be up to the college council.
Okay. Beyond the $915 fee, will there be an application fee to join the college? If we sign up during the transitional society years, will we need to pay any application fee?
So yes, there will be an application fee to join the college. That application fee under the model that we have proposed would be $250 higher than the total buy-in cost for a person who joined in the last year of the transitional period. So again, going back to that 5-year $1,992 cost, if you chose to join after proclamation, your application fee for the college would be $250 higher than that fee. And again, it goes back to any person joining the college shall not, the idea that they won't ever pay less than someone who joined in that transition period and in the beginning portion of that transition period. So that would be that application fee. For those that have already paid that application fee and have continued to pay their annual membership or registrant fee, there would be no application fee required once the college is proclaimed. You would simply pay your annual registrant fee, which again, that's that hypothetical $915 fee.
Okay, next question. Do we have an option to never pay the transitional society, or is it mandatory to join the transitional society before becoming a college registrant?
So again, it ultimately is your decision when it is that you would choose, if you choose to join the college, when it is that you choose either to join the transitional society, or if you want to grandparent in, if you grandparent within that first 90 days, you would be paying the application fee at that point, and then your college registration fee. And is it mandatory to become a college registrant? No, it's not mandatory to become a college registrant. However, if you wish to continue to use a title of massage therapist or registered massage therapist, or to perform medical massage therapy or treat medical conditions using massage therapy, you would need to be a registrant of the college to do that.
Okay. Last question in this section, so under finance, is what happens if you don't get enough buy-in from the massage therapists to join the transitional society in prepaid fees to fund the regulation process?
We will continue to work at it for as long as it takes to get the college established. And again, the difference between 2 years and 5 years is often funding. Sooner or later, the funding will be there. And are there ways that we could do it cheaper? Yes, there probably are ways that we could do it cheaper over the course of time. But the question is, do you want to draw that out to 7 years, 10 years, 15 years? Or do you want to see it established quickly? And I think that the majority of therapists in this province, at least the ones that I have talked to, are ready to get this done after 25 or 30 years of it being talked about. This is an unprecedented time that we're in, where all of the associations are in agreement and have put forward a proposal, an application to the government. And I'm looking forward to the next steps and what that looks like.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. I got a couple questions here under the grandparenting, so over to you, Jason. For the grandparenting process, do I have to apply myself, or is it automatically done for me if I'm an active member of one of the 4 associations?
Again, that hasn't really been discussed. I imagine there's going to probably be a little bit of work for the registrant to do, and also in combination with the association to do. It just depends on how the registrar in the college wants to work that, and what kind of programming we do. to streamline that as efficiently as possible.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Next question. I am an RMT in Alberta, but I left and moved to BC to take another course, and I'll be back in Alberta next year. But I haven't deactivated yet to my Alberta Association membership. I am just wondering, once I am back in Alberta, am I still eligible to apply in the grandparenting process? Should I just keep my membership to my Alberta Association active?
As long as you live in Alberta and you are part of an association at the time that grandparenting happens, you'll be able to be grandfathered in. So should you keep your membership to your association? It's probably a good idea, but if you came back to Alberta and didn't have it and then reapplied, you'll be able to get in.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Next question. So this is kind of under the general regulation questions. So first question is, will the regulatory college offer malpractice insurance to the registrants?
So the regulatory college would require proof of malpractice insurance, but it's up to the registrant where they obtain their malpractice insurance. So it can be obtained privately if you wish, or you can go through an association. They would provide group insurance, and typically that would be less expensive.
Excellent. Thanks, Christy. Next question. Who will make up the college's board of directors or council?
So the first council will most likely be made up of transitional society members, not the administration, but the massage therapists. And that would be the 50% side of it, professional members. And then the government would appoint the other 50%. But after the first council is established, going forward, all future councils for professional members would be elected by the registrants.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Will the associations be making changes to their current membership in preparations for the college, such as limitations on online or curriculum review?
So the regulatory college would be responsible to accredit massage programs, and accreditation could be done by the college itself or a third-party organization such as the CMTA. But we haven't made this determination at this point, at this stage, or in this process. So we're going to wait to see if we actually are entered into the legislation before working on the details at this level.
Okay, thank you. Next question. With a possible change in the provincial government, is there a possible need for a restart again, like in 2019? And is there a way for us to advocate to the continuation of this process?
So no, we wouldn't be starting again. We are on the government's radar, and like I said, the application was accepted in principle in 2016. And by having the Minister of Health do a preliminary review in 2021 was actually a huge step forward for us, and to have him dictate the tasks that we were to accomplish. So now we were able to respond and submit our completed updated application directly to the Minister of Health. So the only delay that would happen would be in government priorities. So in other words, I don't know how long it would take us, depending with the other priorities, they're always balancing within the health department. They're I guess, which is the most priority at the highest priority level. So that would be maybe a delay, but no, we would not have to start the process again. We've been working with administration closely over the past 3 to 5 years now. And so we're just waiting to hear going forward if we're going to be actually added to the Health Professions Act.
Okay, thanks, Christy. Do the massage therapists have a say in becoming regulated if it is approved by the government? For example, is there going to be some sort of formal vote that we have a say?
So, yeah, the massage profession was surveyed back in 2016, and the majority of massage therapists supported regulation. And that was when the mandate or the direction for all the massage associations was determined. So that's when the decision was made to pursue regulation, was at that time. So we've been working in that process ever since, and working with government back and forth, you know, providing the information that they've requested.
Okay, this next question kind of ties right into that. And will there be a future vote for the RMTs if this is still wanted, considering that the last vote was over 8 years ago?
So the associations, as far as I know, the majority of membership still support regulation. And so and we have not heard, being the president of Transitional Council, I've not heard from any associations not to pursue regulation. So it is still supported widely by most to pursue regulation.
Excellent.
So in other words, there's not going to be a vote. We're just going to continue working in the process.
Thank you. Will the college run a campaign to let the public know about the college and how the RMTs would be differentiated from any others?
Yeah, well, I can't speak for the future college, but I would expect that the future college would run public campaigns to educate the public members of that we are now regulated in Alberta, what to look for, and what that would mean. Jeremy, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you look within our application and in that phase, I believe it's phase 2 and even in phase 3, we did actually include some money for exactly that, an advertising campaign. Again, it's one-time costs, but that is in part of the lead up to proclamation.
Great, thanks, Jeremy.
Excellent, thank you. Is this going to affect home-based businesses?
No, we are regulating massage therapists. We're not regulating or restricting the location of practice. So it's not going to cut out home-based businesses. You would still be able to practice in a home environment.
Excellent. Okay, next question. This is pertaining to schools. Not sure if this is going to make sense, but if an academy that offers massage therapy RMT course and it is currently accredited with the private career colleges branch in Alberta, will they need to get accredited via the college, or will accreditation be transferred? So not pertaining to students or already practicing RMTs, but rather educational locations offering RMT programs.
So the future college would be required to accredit programs or have third-party accreditation in other words, those graduates would be recognized to qualify to write the exam for the regulatory college once the college is established. But this does not prevent, as far as I know, the private career college to issue school licenses in general. Just not all might be recognized by the college. If it will be dependent if they meet the accreditation standard, that minimum competency standard. But again, that's something that is further down the line. We haven't worked out those details at all because it's too soon to even have those kind of details in place. Right now, we're still waiting on our application to see if it's being accepted in the framework that we've proposed thus far. So more information about that would come to schools once we start, you know, getting into those kind of details, once we know regulation is moving forward.
Okay. thank you. Next question. If we become regulated, are we able to prescribe how many massages a patient or client can have? For an example, if an RMT works in a physio clinic.
Yeah, so in our scope of practice, we do not have the ability to diagnose, and I believe that's what you're saying, but it doesn't change how we currently practice on making recommendations on, on treatment practices in our treatment records and our treatment plans, if that makes sense. I'm hoping, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, there's I'm just thinking that you're asking about the ability to diagnose versus the treatment planning section of it. But we still treatment plan like we always do. We just won't be having the capability to diagnose under our current scope of practice that's been proposed in our application.
Okay, excellent. Next question. So if a client wants a relaxation massage, this would not be covered under the health benefit insurance when regulated. Is that correct? It sounds like it must be a therapeutic or deep tissue treatment to treat a condition. Is that correct?
So no, that's not correct. We're going to be regulating the practitioner. So if you are going to be a registered massage therapist, that means you can practice therapeutic massage and relaxation massage. That is part of the scope of practice. That would be, as long as you're a registrant of the college, then you would be recognized as a registrant and be able to bill health insurance benefits. If you just want to practice relaxation massage and not be a part of the college, you can't be an RMT or a massage therapist, like use any of those protected titles, and you would not have the ability to bill health insurance under that specific. So it's not the practice of massage or regulating, it's the therapist. It's if you belong to the regulatory college or not.
Okay,
I
good
hope
job.
that clears it up.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you
Okay.
answered that pretty clear. Next question. Is there a possibility that WCB and MVA insurance will recognize massage therapy as part of an allied health and thus pay more for those services, such as a physio, massage therapist, and business owner? I can see more opportunities to be an employer of other massage therapists.
So again, this one is difficult to answer at this time. We're not sure if WCB or would be recognizing this as part of the insurance. When I was on the was the chair for the motor vehicle accident insurance task force, because we weren't regulated, we received a hard cap. Now, I'm not sure if once we become regulated, like once we have a college, if we'd be able to approach government and ask them to change that or not. We'd have the ability to actually have conversations. That's about as much as I could say at this point. I'm not saying that the government would change anything or not. But the other possibility is motor vehicle accident insurance, the other regulated health professions do have a fee schedule set specifically for motor vehicle insurance. So that is a possibility that could happen for massage therapists under the MVA insurance program. So we can't give you any further information from that because that would be down the road once the college is established, and we'd have to have future conversations about that with the finance department of the government.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Next question. So every time a new government takes over our province, do we have to start from scratch with the new Minister of Health? As you mentioned, it has to pass through the approval of the current Minister of Health.
Yeah, so we don't start over from scratch because we do have a file that is continuous. And even though the ministers might change from within the province, election to election, the actual file still stays with the minister. So it is with the Minister of Health, regardless if the Minister of Health has changed or not. So for instance, we've been working on the tasks that were prescribed by the former Minister of Health, Shandro, but we're able to respond to that those tasks to the current minister, who is Minister Lagrange, And so that the file is continuous, so we do not have to start all over again, which is good news.
Excellent. Will all of the associations still have differences amongst them after regulation?
So association member services may differ from each other. I mean, I can't answer that question. That would be something that you would have to reach out to each of the association to inquire, you know, what they offer and what that's going to look like. Because yeah, I can't speak to what associations will be doing, and what they're doing now could look different in once the college is established. So I that's all. That would just
Tough question, yeah.
yeah. It is a
Next
tough
question.
question.
Yeah. What is the difference about now versus the past with regulation work in Alberta? Most RMTs have been saying that they have heard of being regulated for 20 plus years now, and nothing has happened. Now people are panicking that it is looking like it is actually going to happen. Is there a chance that this will be turned down and we won't be regulated and have to start all over?
Yeah, so I've been practicing for 27 years and have heard this my entire career, so I can relate. What I can say is this is the furthest we've ever accomplished in the process of regulation of working with the government. So the signpost, I guess I would say that regulation is going to happen, most likely happen for sure, is when the massage therapists are added to the Health Profession Act. That is the biggest sign that yes, we are moving forward and we're actually written into the Health Professions Act, because that would trigger our next steps in regulation, which would be creating that transitional society, which would become the future regulatory college. So is there a chance it could be turned down? What that would mean is it just wouldn't move forward in government. It wouldn't come forward to legislation. But what I can say is out of all the MLAs I've spoken to, they all support regulation. So I can't see it be turned down. It's more, in my opinion, I know I can't say this is not a fact, but my opinion, it's just more of a matter of priorities with the government and just getting on with all the other activities that they have going on, just making sure they have space or room for us.
Okay. Next question. I've had memberships with the CMTO and the CMTBC, both having different levels of education taught at massage colleges. I'm assuming we would have more in common with Ontario, but apart from the jurisprudence exam, is there anything unique to the framework for regulation in Alberta that will not exist in other regulated provinces?
That's a good question. The government has asked us in Alberta to define the scope of practice about what massage looks like in Alberta, because the scopes do differ from province to province. And we have adopted the interjurisdictional document, the practice competencies and practice indicators document framework, which was developed by FOMTRAC, which is the organization of the 5 current regulated provinces in our application. And so I don't know if any other working group members have anything else to add to that answer. So we are looking at defining what massage looks like in Alberta, but we're also looking at the framework established by FOMTRAC through the other regulated provinces. This is what we've come up with and made a proposal in our current application. So we're just waiting to hear back if you know, the government of Alberta will accept what we've proposed. And we can't be too different though, otherwise it'll interfere with the labor mobility between the provinces. So it'll be similar, but it may not be exactly the same because each health profession legislation, it differs from province to province.
Excellent. I think that answers that.
I didn't see anything else pop on yet.
Yeah. Is there a cost to taking the jurisprudence examination to join the college? If you fail, what will happen at that point?
So if you're going to be grandfathered in or grandparented into the college, then you wouldn't be writing the jurisprudence to join.
No, jurisprudence is still part of that.
Oh, it is part of when you join? Okay.
So the jurisprudence is something that every therapist, but again, it's different from entry to practice. It's about what the regulations are for the specific province. And it's something I believe that within our application, you would still be writing that jurisprudence exam, but it's not a pass fail as in if you fail it, you can't enter. It just means that you have to repeat. And it's about learning how the college itself is governed and what your responsibilities are to the college.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Okay, excellent. Next question. If I understand this correctly, if I am not part of the regulatory college, then I am not going to be able to use the title RMT because it is title protected. However, my program diploma has RMT title on it.
Oh, okay, that's interesting because yeah, to answer your question, that yes, you would have to be part of the regulatory college to be able to use a protected title. Right now, the titles are not protected because I guess we don't have the regulatory college in place. But you would have to become a member of the regulatory college to use RMT or registered massage therapist once the college comes into operation.
Going forward, is this true? I heard that RMTs will not be allowed to accept tips after we're regulated.
Do you want to take this one, Jeremy, or do you want me to? I don't know.
You go ahead, Christy.
Okay. So once we become recognized as a health professional, yeah, tips is not common. So in other words, I don't know if you tip your dentist or your doctor for a service. It's not common. I don't know if it's been determined if it's going to be unacceptable yet or not. We've not discussed that at all as a working group.
Is there a way for RMTs to volunteer to help with this regulation process?
So I would just say I think the associations, as far as I've heard, are always looking for volunteers for the association. So I would just reach out to them, suggest that you reach out to them to see if there's any way that you can volunteer with the association. That's yeah, and they would be the ones, yeah, that to ask that question to. Thank you. Yeah.
Next question. How long would the regulatory college council members be appointed for? What are the terms or the limits?
Do you know that, Jeremy? I'm just trying to, I don't know what the Health Professions Act says. Health Professions Act is what determines how the regulatory college operates. And that's where the rules would come from for the college. So, but I'm not sure. I haven't looked at that specifically. Do you know, Jeremy? I'm just going to ask.
I don't know offhand. I think that there may be, sorry, I'm just looking.
Like 2 to 3 year terms. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I think that there is specification within the Health Professions Act, but I don't know what that is, and I also don't know if there are term limits.
Yeah, so
that's a good question.
That is a good question. So if you really want to know the answer to that question, I think you put the link up. Did you not, Jeremy, to the Health Professions Act or no? Was it just
not to the Health Professions Act. I just put it up to our application.
okay?
Okay, next question. For seniors, I believe they have chiropractic services covered under their Alberta Health Care. Once we are regulated, would massage therapy be covered automatically, or would we have to go through a process to have massage added for them through the provincial government?
Yes, we would not automatically be added to any kind of coverage under Alberta healthcare. We're not part of the primary healthcare system at this point, so it is something that, you know, we could potentially have discussions around once there's a regulatory college in place. But yeah, I know until we're regulated, I don't even think Alberta would even consider that. So again, a question we can't really answer right now, but it doesn't mean it's not a possibility in the future at some point.
Okay. Next question. During the years of having joined the Transitional Society, if you haven't joined yet, would you still be able to use your RMT status and have clients' insurance benefits able to process?
So yeah, so even if you join the Transitional Society, you'd still operate under your association as you do currently. Nothing would change until proclamation, or which means until the regulatory college becomes operational. That's when all of the changes would happen. So yeah, you can still use your status through your association to be recognized by the health insurance industry to have your have the benefit coverage.
Okay. Next question. How is regulation going to help massage therapists? It seems everyone will get grandfathered into the college.
So I guess when we established the college, anyone who's a member in good standing would be grandfathered into the college. And the reason being is the government does not want to put anyone out of work or able to make a living during the transitional process, which is why there is a grandfathering period, but it's a very specific period of time that would happen. So that's, I think that answers that question.
I think so.
Okay.
Next question. Can you please highlight some of the common benefits to massage therapists when there is a regulatory college? Will these benefits be immediate for them, or will it benefit massage therapists over time?
That is a good question. The benefits would be over time as the profession elevates and becomes elevated over time and gets that recognition. So I don't know, did someone else want to jump in here? I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a trickle down effect.
Yeah.
For the benefits of massage therapy, or for the massage therapist. One instant benefit, like we explained earlier, is that we will become an essential healthcare service, which means you as a registrant becomes an essential healthcare provider. And what that gives us is, again, if there's a pandemic, we kind of fall in with chiropractors and physios that we might be able to stay open during a pandemic. We also have protected titles right away. So those people that are looking for RMTs are going to come to RMTs, whereas those that aren't registrants won't be able to use those titles. So in essence, it could bring more patients into your clinic that way too. There's a couple other ones that we have up on the screen there too. Just building that professional trust in the public is a big one too. Provides a consistency of the protocols, the reporting mechanisms, and investigation and discipline. So again, having trust in our profession will possibly lead to more people using our profession for massage therapy. It also creates that opportunity for us to go across Canada and work in other regulatory provinces with very little interruption to work, and basically just taking that jurisprudence exam for that respected jurisdiction. Couple of the other things, like we will have another province that's regulated, and it does give us an advantage to have a bit of a say at the table. So it elevates our profession with the federal government too. So we were talking about GST and stuff. Even though that is federal and things like that, we might have a little bit more ability to push on this and speed things up. It is federal, so maybe not, but in other aspects of government and stuff, the more we have, the more regulated provinces, the better we can address our profession and make it one of the main ones that people come and see. Yeah, and I think everything else is up on the board here.
Yeah. I was just going to add, there was a question that somebody had posed about specifically about seniors benefits. Again, within the ability to advocate for things like that, until we become a regulated profession, it's a non-start, because they're not it's a non-starter. Whether that's advocating for, you know, the government seniors benefits, whether that's advocating for, well, I'll use an example in Ontario where they are currently, Ontario Health Services integrated 40 massage therapists in a trial with post-operative care. And so where that post-operative care, again, a very specific little narrow window that has potential for future funding. Not unlike what you currently see with physiotherapists, where a certain number of treatments under specific protocols are covered post-op. So having the regulation in place allows for advocacy down those lines, where not having regulation in place, you can't even begin. It's a non-starter, because we're not recognized as health professionals. And so just being recognized as health professionals elevates us that one extra step and gives the associations, again, the ability to increase their advocacy efforts post-proclamation, because they have more bite. They're representing an actual health profession, not just, they're a recognized health profession under the Health Professions Act. So in the government's eyes, we have that elevated status.
I just wanted to go back to one of the other questions that was asked about council terms, because this information has been looked up. And so I just wanted to say, let you know that according to the Health Professions Act, a council member's term is typically 3 years. A member may serve a maximum of 2 consecutive terms, totaling 6 years. But after serving 2 consecutive terms, a member must step down for at least 1 year before being eligible for reappointment. So I just wanted to address that previous question. And then looks like, Heather, we need to clarify jurisprudence again. So I'm going to let Jeremy clarify jurisprudence, because we can't, there's so much information, we rely on each other's memories. So Jeremy, I'll let you take that one.
So I'm just gonna read it here a little bit, Jeremy. So a jurisprudence exam will be required regardless if we're grandparented or not. Is that correct?
So I went back and looked at the application, and the application is a little bit vague. In all of the conversation, and I mean, again, this is something that will have to be determined. However, in most jurisdictions where you have had a college come into existence where people were joining the college, a jurisprudence exam is something that's required. And the reason that it's required is because it brings all of the therapists under the same understanding as to what the requirements of the college are. This is not about entry to practice. In other words, it's not about how you practice or what you're doing in practice. It's more about you need to complete this number of CECs, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to have your standard first aid once every 3 years, you need to have treatment notes that follow this form, whatever those specific requirements are for you as a practitioner under the college. And that's what jurisprudence is about. So I hope that that answers the question. But again, I went back to the actual application, and it is a requirement, but it's not necessarily mentioned in the grandfathering piece.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeremy. And this one actually goes to you as well. I'm gonna, I think I understand this. Since the Transitional Society is a buy-in for the massage therapists, if we pay these fees, can they go towards filing our income taxes or not? Because we're not officially regulated yet.
So this is a good question that I wish that I had an answer to, but at this point I don't have a hard, fast answer to. The belief is that it would be considered professional fees and would qualify, but we would have to clarify that with the CRA, and that has not been done at this point. Definitely was not even, I don't think, considered at any point. So I will say this, it's something that we will have to figure out and then communicate with therapists leading up to that transition period and to whether or not that would qualify under CRA.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. I do believe that we have come to the end of the questions for now. I think, Christy, if I can hand this back over to you, I think we've asked all the questions.
Great, thank you, Heather. Okay. So hopefully we've addressed everyone's question. We will be compiling and summarizing the frequently asked questions after all 4 information sessions are now completed. And we will be providing a follow-up responses through the massage associations in the future. We have heard some really good questions over the 4 information sessions, so stay in touch with your association for those responses. We do get asked if there's anything we should do right now. So right now, if you're not signing up for anything right now, just stay in touch with your association, keep your membership in good standing, and read your association emails. And remember that our answers today are based on our proposed application. Nothing is written in stone yet for massage therapists. And I also like to remind everyone that the Health Professions Act is the legislation or the rules or the law which grants the regulatory college their authority. So if there's any changes to the Health Professions Act in the future, then that would also apply to the future of the Massage Regulatory College. So just remember that this is a dynamic process. Things will evolve, and they are evolving, and we will be responding accordingly. And if you have not watched the video, we still encourage you to watch it. Please watch for a survey link that we will be emailing out through your associations and the TC sometime at the end of the month to all Alberta massage therapists. So we appreciate your feedback and stay in touch. And on behalf of the working group, I'd like to thank you for attending.